Hello and welcome. This is video number 2 in a 4-part series about what I call pre-World War II aggressors. And in the overall series, we'll take a look at the moves made by Japan, Italy, and Germany in the years leading into World War II. In this video, the focus is going to be on Italy and what Italy was up to that contributed to World War II happening the way that it did. Let's get started. Now, the other place I wanted to mention in today's video was Italy. Italy would be an aggressor nation during the 1930s and would be a part of the aggressor nations during World War II. And so just to speak a little bit to what Italy was up to, when we last mentioned Italy, it was to talk about the rise of Mussolini as a leader. Early 1920s, Mussolini was able to seize power in Italy when the king, Victor Emmanuel III, essentially granted him that opportunity in the hopes of preserving his own position as king. Well, the years went by, and Italy, just like other places around the world, ran into hard times during the Depression years, and that fueled their desire to exert their influence outside of their country to try to get more of the things that they wanted and needed. And so one of the things that Mussolini had talked about early on was rebuilding the military and restoring a sense of pride for Italy with a more powerful military. And one of the ways to take advantage of having that was to build an Italian empire in Africa. Now, that was something that Italy had been working on and had desired to do for a long time. So this wasn't necessarily a new goal, but it was certainly a focal point of Mussolini's plans for Italy. Now, the place that Italy was focused on under Mussolini was getting control of Ethiopia. You might recall when we took a look at imperialism specifically, that Ethiopia was one of the few places in Africa that remained independent during that time. And that wasn't for lack of trying. Italy had tried a couple times before to actually take over the territory of Ethiopia. They just failed in that endeavor. So part of what Mussolini was trying to do was kind of get back something that Italy had never been able to have before, or I guess try to accomplish something that Italy had never been able to accomplish before, and that was taking the country of Ethiopia. So the invasion happens in the fall of 1935, and this really was no contest, or actually should have been less of a contest than it actually would turn out to be, because Italy had a modern military with modern weapons, modern tools of war, and they were really going up against a relatively primitive army that had literally spears and swords and tools like that to fight back against. Despite the massive difference in the capabilities each side had, Ethiopia put up a pretty good fight and also made an appeal to the world and to the League of Nations for support. Now, one thing the League of Nations does a little differently this time is they do order economic sanctions against Italy. And basically what that means is they were going to try to cut off Italy from things that it needed in the hopes that Italy would realize it needed the things they were cut off from more than they needed Ethiopia, and that they would give up on Ethiopia so that they could get access to stuff they'd been cut off from. Now, the trick with economic sanctions is you have to end up getting a lot of different people to play along, most likely, and it would probably involve people who might be in business with Italy and selling things to Italy to stop selling things. And so that's hard to do. And the reality of the sanctions that were imposed on Italy is that they were largely ignored, and those that were adhered to didn't really prevent Italy from getting things that they needed. Some of the resources that Italy was still able to have full access to were things like coal and iron and oil. Think about the things you would need to maintain a war machine: coal, iron, oil. If you've got that, you're all set. So once again, the League proved to be ineffective, and Italy was able to ultimately get victory over Ethiopia. Now, they would struggle to maintain control over it, but they would, at least for a time, get what they were looking for. Now, even with this, getting into 1935, 1936, the rest of the world still stood by and did nothing. Nobody was really willing to interfere or intervene. And it wasn't because they didn't realize what was going on. They just were very reluctant to get involved and did a really good job of rationalizing why it wasn't necessarily their business or wasn't necessarily something they needed to get involved with. Well, hopefully you now have a little better understanding of the ways in which Italy contributed to the growing environment that was moving towards World War II. Thanks for watching.